Lock us in, load us in, pop in that 8-track, spin the tape. Here we go. Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Star Wars Time Show, and this one is pretty fucking special, my friends, because Nick and I, we are live from Star Wars Celebration 2019. We may or may not be at the convention hall, but we are definitely in Chi-Town, hanging out, watching Star Wars. And by the way, we watched something pretty fucking epic today that was Star Wars related, and that was the teaser trailer for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. That's right, my friends. We have the title for Episode 9. That all went down today at the Episode 9 panel, which yours truly got to go to because for one time in my life, the Force was with me this week, and I got all sorts of hookups at Celebration. I got the Episode 9 panel, the Mando panel. We got some Hasbro toys, some Funkos, some Legos. So things have been going good for me at Celebration. Was at the panel. Watch it with a bunch of fantastic fans. So Nick and I were going to talk about what we saw on the panel, but more importantly, what went down in that teaser trailer that JJ played for us at the end of the panel, because it was fantastic. Nick already broke down the trailer in written form, so we're going to be using that post as we kind of navigate through the trailer, speculate on the scenes that were given to us, the hints that were shown. We're going to do our thing. We're going to try to speculate, dig deep in those buttholes, and figure out what type of rumors we can maybe create for our site. You know, we always try to get some clickbait out there, or we need more clickbait, because in the end, that's what you people click on, is the bait. You don't like the real stuff, the stories, the journalistic integrity we sometimes put forward. You just want catchy headlines, so that's what we're working on. All right, dude. So that panel, you had to unfortunately watch it in a stream.
Yeah. I was at the hotel room writing down notes, getting ready to put out some content for you guys.
He was doing the work. I was having fun like a slacker.
But I was able to take it in its entirety. I didn't have to just watch the trailer and not have the context of the whole panel. And I thought it was really, really fun. I mean, we got to see some of the old cast, some of the new cast. We got to see Anthony Daniels come out, have fun with the crowd. I mean, he's just like a personality. Like when Anthony first came out, like he had fun with the crowd, with his book and everything like that. But to me, the real treat was to see Billy D come out. He started a little slow.
Yeah, it was scary. I mean, I thought he was maybe gonna start talking about what he was gonna go get at the grocery store later.
Yeah,
because someone just dropped him off from the old folks' home. But hey, we love the guy. I believe Nick did the math and figured out he's well into his 80s. I think we've talked about this before when he was throwing up some hammer strength. But Nick's right. I mean, it looked like things were going to go a little off the rails for Billy, but he recovered, and he actually told a fantastic story about how people always give him shit for fucking over Han Solo and Empire Strikes Back. So Billy D definitely still has that Lando in him, just like he confirmed at the panel. So I do agree. It was great to see him. The other thing, if you're in attendance, and I know we talked offline, you saw this, you realized it through the stream, but when Steven called on Kelly Marie Tran, the reaction from the audience in the Wintrust Arena was magical. I mean, I almost started crying for the girl. Because if you don't understand why the fans gave her that reaction, you're probably one of the haters, or you're just not a nut and you're not in the know in Star Wars. But basically, this girl was chased off of social media back in 2017 because of her portrayal of Rose Tico in The Last Jedi, which for some people really rubbed them the wrong way. They did not like Rose for some reason. They didn't like that she was kissing Finn. Who the fuck knows what their problem was? But she started taking it to the face and the teeth, getting kicked around by idiots on, I believe it was Instagram, right?
Instagram was, the biggest offender. But she came out of it, and when she came onto that stage, one of the first things she did was she looked out on the crowd, and she said, "Oh my God, I'm going to cry." Like, you could see it in her face.
It was great. I mean, if you were in attendance, kudos to you for being good humans. Excuse me, because that was a fantastic reaction. And it leveled her. I mean, you could see on her face when we were all standing there cheering for her before she gave her little interview that touched her. And I think it reminded her that there are a lot of great Star Wars people out there. It's not just this microcosm of shitheads that have kind of surfaced since TLJ. So those moments were great. I mean, it was fantastic just to listen to JJ. Steven was fun. All that was great, Nick, but why are we here? What are we really here for?
We were waiting, and, we all knew it was going to be at the end of the panel, so we had an hour and 10 minutes of good fun, and then the trailer drops. And with the trailer, the title, and Rise of Skywalker. What did you think about that, Matt? Let's jump into the title.
I mean, honestly, the title... And if you watch my reaction video, which I think we just got it up on StarWarsTime.net, so obviously if you're listening to this now, you're in the future, we're in the past, it's up there, but check it out. My biggest reaction, I think, of watching the trailer was the title.
Yeah.
Because it came out of nowhere. I mean, never did I ever think the Skywalker name would be used in this movie's title. I mean, I know this is the end of the Skywalker franchise, but quite frankly, we were down to 1 or 2 living Skywalkers that we knew of. That may change now after this teaser, going into 9. So, I mean, we were, Balance of the Force was thrown out there, the pinball game title. Our intern, he had Rise of the Resistance. I mean, he got the Rise part right, so, he's doing all right. I mean, he still hasn't earned a salary yet, but he's doing all right with his speculations. So, yeah, Nick, I mean, that title... out of the blue, and what the fuck does it mean? I mean, the title set to what we saw in the trailer, what does this all mean?
Yeah, you take in a lot of the scenes from the trailer, and then you add the title in, and to me, there's a lot of allusions to Rey and who she could be. Even Ryan himself said that, it's up to JJ if he wants to change.
Rey from nowhere, right?
If he wants to go out there and do what he wants to do with Rey's character and say, hey, I have a different idea for her parentage, then go for it. And I think, this is just a teaser, and it's only 2 minutes long, but I think the stuff that we saw in this teaser can, start to piece together this Rey is a Solo, Rey is a Skywalker type of deal here. I mean, and the title is just the biggest grab, because... what other Skywalker is there to rise? I mean, we have Kylo, and that's the only one that's left. And if it's not him, then is there another Skywalker out there?
So we've kind of hashed this out. I mean, I get. Let's just run with this then. So before we break down the scenes, let's really kind of look at the Rey. Is it back to being potentially a Skywalker? What does Rise of Skywalker mean? As Nick said, it could really only mean 2 or 3 things. Is it Kylo's rise? Is he coming back to being a good guy, but still, yes, he's a Skywalker, but he's a proper Solo, correct?
Yes,
so,
yeah.
The only other Skywalker that could rise is literally Luke, and I highly doubt that they're going to be rematerializing him from Force Ghost Land. So it does imply that potentially, and these are theories Nick and I were talking about years ago. I mean, he was, I think, one of the first. And I used to fight him on that, like, no way they're going to do that. That's too convenient. And then I talked myself into it. And then, obviously, we got The Last Jedi, and she's Rey from nowhere with 2 drunken hobo parents.
Yep.
And now we're back at this, the Rise of Skywalker. So there's some other things out there. I mean, again, if you've read the Thrawn novels, our intern was kind of folding that in, and how the Chiss used the term Skywalker, and maybe the Rise of Skywalker could imply just the new type of good Jedi. Again, the Jedi are, I know that Luke even said Rey's kind of the last Jedi, but the Jedi as they were, the Sith as they were, in my mind, are gone. I mean, Kylo is something new. Rey ultimately is something new. On their respective sides of the Force. So those to me are the only ways it could go. And yes, I know Rey as a Skywalker would be too obvious. And it is, even in my mind. I'm going, that's so obvious. Would they do that? But the other options, I don't know. I mean, where do you go with the Rise of Skywalker?
As I said, kind of leading up to this, and before we even knew the title, I think the best way to have an emotional punch in this movie is to tie her to somebody. Like, to have her be Kylo's sister, to have her be somehow romantically linked to Kylo. And it looks like they're not going to go the romantic route here, at least from what we've seen in this trailer. At one point, he's very clearly trying to kill her right up front. So I don't know if we're going to get that angle, but if you have an emotional connection via, parentage or family, just like we saw in Return of the Jedi, like people are already starting to draw these comparisons to what we've seen in this trailer to Return of the Jedi. So going back to that, one of the big themes of Return of the Jedi is family, and how does that
redemption of family?
Yes,
like bad like really shitty family. Your drunken uncle that did really horrible things. You redeem him, and he does something to redeem himself, and that could be where this stuff is headed. And Nick and I, we've been setting that up there. And I'm out there saying, really, to me, the only way Kylo's redeemed is probably through death. I ultimately think Rey could redeem him through her death as well. That would really shock people, especially those that think Rey's Mary Sue OP and she doesn't deserve to have the power she does. But I don't know, man. There's so many ways to go with this. The rise of Skywalker. There's the very obvious route with Rey. We set this up years ago. I mean, I even think if we search the EB archives, I have a post, maybe even a video. I think I went that far to do a video to set up how I think Rey is a solo Skywalker.
Oh, yeah. That's been on many casts as well. We've been over it time and time.
And basically, just to kind of cliff notes it, Leia gets pregnant with Leia gets pregnant with Rey right when her and Han were kind of on the outs. So Ben's going to be 10, a little over 10. He's already being affected by Snoke. Leia's kind of already seen him go down a dark path and is shipping him off to the uncle to try to get fixed. So I could really see Leia going, you know what? We fucked up hardcore with Ben. He's probably lost if Luke can't fix him. Han is doing his smuggling thing again. Him and I just can't really have a love life. At least a picture book love life. I want to lead the resistance. Han wants to get back to doing his thing. I'm just going to stash this girl away, just like my Uncle Obi-Wan and Uncle Yoda did for me and my brother when they hid me from my dad.
Yeah.
For basically the same reasons, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they did not want Vader to know, or the Emperor to know, that Vader had spawns so they could be used as more Sith warriors, basically unstoppable Skywalker Sith warriors.
Yeah, that's Yoda said that in episode 3, and I mean, if you look at some very small context in episode 7, I mean, Lor Santeca was on the same planet. He was on Jakku, the same planet that Rey was on.
Good point.
So
he could have been the Obi-Wan watcher.
Exactly. There. Like, we've never gotten to see that story play out. He was pretty much just who Poe had to go to get the data rod that has the map on it, but him being there in such close proximity to somebody who Rey could be,
he clearly revered Leia. I mean, he was like, she's regal royalty, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. So that's I'm glad you brought that up. That's some very wise insight from Nick over here. So I don't know. The Rise of Skywalker, my friends. So that's the title. Let's get into that tease. And it was a tease, but in my opinion, it's a perfect tease because we got some pretty potent shit thrown at us, but it was done in a way that we really have no clue what the hell we saw. We have ideas. Yes, we know the raw images. We could speak to those, but what does it all mean? When is all this taking place? What scenes are taking place during what act of the movie? So let's go ahead, Nick. Let's kick ourselves into your fabulous little breakdown you did for us, starting with that opening shot of Rey, essentially mirroring the teaser of TFA, with Finn's breathing of
deep breaths.
It was fantastic. So go ahead and get us into this breakdown.
Yeah, so we open up with the breathing, her on a desert planet, and just very intently staring forward at something coming at her. At this moment, we don't know what it is, but there's also Luke Skywalker's voice kind of playing over the first few seconds of this trailer, and it says, "We've passed on all we know. 1,000 generations live within you now, but this is your fight." I love
that quote. And now, so that quote clearly isn't taking place during the scene, Nick. So do you think this is this going to be a scene we see between Rey and Force Luke, where he's kind of imparting this wisdom, or do you think this is going to be more like Obi-Wan Kenobi brain walkie-talkie stuff where she can just hear him and he's giving her lessons, or do you think this is going to be a sit-down moment between Luke and Rey?
Yeah, I almost see it like Obi and Luke, where Force Ghost Obi sitting on the log right next to him,
having a heart-to-heart about, hey man, why didn't you tell me the truth about my dad and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
not going to be a run Luke run or use the Force Luke, put the targeting computer away, all that fun stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts on that one. I really do think that there's going to be moments for Rey to sit down, whether it be on the Falcon or somewhere else on a planet, to really kind of get in touch. And I think, I'm hoping here that we get Force Ghost Luke, and it's not just going to be, the actual full body, not just the words coming through the Force.
Yeah. I want to see him too.
Yeah, I think Mark needs to be back. He needs to be back in person. So hopefully this is one of those moments where she's kind of getting into who she is now. Because she's going to have to grapple with that. Like, even though we're going to be about a year out from TLJ, she's still grappling with the fact that she is all of the Jedi now. Like, just like Luke was at the end of Return of the Jedi. Like, he's the only one. And
he basically tells her he's using we, the plural we. We have infused all of our knowledge into you now. You are it. You're the keeper of the books. You truly are the last learned user of the light side of the Force. Let's put it that way. I don't even know if Luke would call her a Jedi. Who knows?
Yeah.
But other cool things we see in this scene, obviously we get to see the rebuilt Skywalker family blade, which it may actually be legitimately a Skywalker family blade.
Yeah, again.
With another Skywalker again.
Yeah, so if you look at that image really close, we have a good capture of it on the site and on the breakdown post. You can actually see, like, right under her hand, the black little scabbard that's used to put the two pieces back together. So before, if you look at the Skywalker family saber, no black little piece right there. Now you have clearly...
I feel like, are those bolts, Nick, that are bolting in the side rails, are those new too? I don't remember seeing those on the...
Every movie they make like a little change to the blade, even if it's supposed to be the same one. Like,
we're talking about the very
things.
bottom of grip of the hilt, and if you look at the base of it, there are little screws going into it. Look at to keep the black rubber stuff on. I don't know what it is, but I don't know, something outside of the fuse point looks different about the lightsaber.
Yeah, we have our intern here, Ryan. If you could,
the whole middle's different, I think.
So we definitely can see the whole middle's different. And then, possibly some things towards the bottom of the blade too. But what's really good about this shot, and this is what I pointed out in the breakdown.
This is where Nick gets scientific, almost artistic. This is a film study almost.
Yeah.
Here.
I start to build my case a little bit. Yeah. So right next to the blade is the gun, the blaster that was given to Rey by Han and TFA. So this is clearly, she doesn't need a gun. I mean, like, come on, let's be real here. If she's to the level of Force user that
Luke ditched his pistol when he was becoming a Jedi. I mean, in Return of the Jedi, he wasn't really whipping his gat after he got dropped down Jabba's little shaft there.
No. So this to me is pointing out the possible dual lineage here. We have the Solo with the gun, and then you have the Skywalker with the blade. So I thought that was a really nice touch. And if you look, initially, she's got them on two different hips because she's got her, the lightsaber on the left and then the gun on the right. So she's definitely still, Han means something to her. We could see that in TFA. Like, even
Kylo makes fun of her for it. I mean, he basically says that, and I believe was that in TFA or
that was
TLJ,
in TLJ when they were.
Where he's like, "Yo, anyone you find, Luke's the new one to you. You just gravitate to these father figures.
Yeah,
you don't know what you want because your parents are losers, and you just need to come with me.
Yeah,
I can tell you who you are, what you need to be, and we'll kick everyone's ass." But it didn't happen. So, when do you think this is taking place? By the way,
this has got to be middle to end, like towards the end of the movie. This is a one-on-one showdown moment. Like,
well, I think it's part of a bigger action sequence because I think once we get deeper in, Nick, we're gonna see this locale again. We're gonna see Finn and Poe and C-3PO. We see almost like a dude on a jetpack or stuff flying around.
Yep.
So this seems to be good guys and bad guys are here for some reason, and it looks like in this teaser we're going to get a lot of skirmishes between First Order and Resistance.
Yeah.
throughout the film based on whatever adventure everyone is going out on. And I guess that's one thing we didn't mention. The fact that JJ confirmed, Nick, that the story is essentially Rey, Finn, Poe, Chewie, BB,
C-3PO,
all rolling out, out together. I mean, that is fantastic.
That's huge.
I mean, everyone's wanted to see that from film one, especially at least Rey and Finn back together. But everyone loved Finn and Poe together, and now we're getting them all.
Yeah.
And I still think Rey and Poe kind of had eyes for each other at the end of TLJ. I mean,
it could be.
Poe was giving her some of those lovey eyes, I think.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk of that during the panel too. I think
it's
it
a
was
pentagon.
Steven.
Boyega, he's called it a love pentagon.
Yeah, there's not a triangle here. There's too many parties involved.
I mean, he loves him some Poe, some Rose, some Rey. I mean, you never know. It's
everybody.
BB-8. Yeah,
who knows? But next shot we have is just we switch focus essentially from the Skywalker blade and the solo gun.
What is she waiting for? And now it starts to take shape a bit and take sound. You can start to hear it.
Yeah, so you clearly hear the scream.
I knew this is what was coming. I didn't know he'd actually be buzzing at her in his TIE silencer, but I was like, she's waiting on him to do something. She's prepared for Kylo, her foil, to be doing something. Then he just comes zipping in on his silencer.
Yeah, with the ship. He's on the planet's surface, just coming down with his ship right.
He just wants to run her over. Like, he literally just wants to run her over.
Yeah, no messing around. He's not like pulling up to stop and like get out of his craft and like have a lightsaber duel.
They clearly still don't like each other, or he's still clearly upset with her that she turned him down.
Yeah, like he definitely
didn't deal with that rejection too well.
Yeah. And he's not in like come back to the dark side mode. He's in I'm gonna kill you mode, like as fast as possible.
But is that not so Kylo though?
Yeah,
he's so reckless that he thinks like, I'll just run her over in my starship, basically using it as a pod racer.
Yeah, exactly. This is clear.
He is such a homer for Vader, right? That's why he's doing this, Nick. He wanted to experience what it was like to pod race.
Yeah, just like his dad or just like his grandfather when he was a wee kid on Tatooine.
Yeah, that's all this is about. But it get back to Kylo and how just batshit nuts he is. I mean, the fact that she probably has him so riled up again that he is going to try to run her over, just it's comical to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I love that guy, because he reminds me of myself. Some dude that literally just flies off the handle for no reason at stupid stuff. As I look at my bloody knuckle from punching a punching bag last week over losing a fucking water bottle. Yes, I have Kylo within me. So here we go, Nick. Moving on. She kind of puts her back to him, which is just such a pimp samurai style move. Like this whole time she's been meditating, battle meditation almost. She knows he's making his attack run, so she turns his back to him and prepares and fully relies on the Force to guide her next move.
Yeah, doesn't need to look, doesn't need any type of, visual or audio cues. She's got the saber ignited, ready to go. Then we get a shot inside the cockpit. All we can see is the hands, but that's all you need, because you see the gloves, you see the style, you see the interior of the cockpit. You know that this is Kylo. It's very clear.
And he's going full throttle, man. They show him. He's just like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's run this motherfucker over, man. I mean, it's like it's almost like he sees a raccoon or a pigeon in the road, and he's speeding up to just blast it over.
Like a pure psycho.
And then we get, which I can tell you right now, Nick, starting tomorrow in the toy photography community, this shot is going to be recreated. Mark my words, by the time we're doing our Friday show next week, there's a good chance Nick is going to have someone's toy photography shot of Rey doing this back twist flip spin over Kylo's TIE silencer. And Nick captured it perfectly in screenshot form. If you need it, StarWarsTime.net.
Yeah, check it out there. And then what I also think is pretty cool about this, I don't know if we've seen these little modifications to his cockpit. I don't know if those were present in the other movies.
Well, he put like some battle paint on.
Yeah, he's definitely rocking some new stuff on the cockpit of his silencer here. But this shot's just crazy. I mean, like, I'm sure there are people out there on the internet yelling Rey's OP, but like, guess what, motherfucker? She should be. Like, she's just flipping over this silencer like nothing. I mean, it's crazy. So,
and think about the timing she would have to do this. I mean, this silencer, it's not even going hundreds of miles per hour. I mean, it's going like probably trillions of miles per hour in Star Wars measurement. I mean, it is flying.
Yeah.
And she just perfectly times it clearly. I mean, she's a force pimp. It's going to happen. But it is a beautiful shot. I love that JJ cooked it up, or whoever, his DP, whoever dreamed up that shot. Good for you. That's probably why you're working on Star Wars movies.
Yeah. Next up, we're getting off of the desert planet here. We're moving on to a new location.
It's the montage part of it. All trailers kind of start with a focus scene. Then it goes into the quick beat cuts of bang, 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 bang. You're going to see this. You're going to see this. You're going to see this. Before it slows down again and be like, this is what you're going to see and why you're going to love it and why you're going to be so anxious to see it. So we get into our montage and we get our first shot of as Nick said, a different planet. And as I've been throwing it out here, because I do believe we're going to Batuu in, we actually have a name for it now, Rise. Because you can kind of see the craggy landscape. Mm-hmm. It just reminds me of what we know the Black Spire outpost and that locale could look like. And the fact that Disney has gone out of their way to say that Batuu, I mean, hell, they're doing a prequel book for it, right?
Yep.
The Resistance finds it and they use Batuu to do something. It almost sounds like Batuu's going to be a key place, and it may be the location that sends our heroes on their true journey, because we've also we've talked about, we speculated on that there may be two MacGuffins in this movie, where the initial MacGuffin gets the heroes and the bad guys to this one place, but that place doesn't end up being the place.
Yes.
It's the place that reveals something major to everyone, like an oh fuck place.
Yeah.
So
this could be the beginning. Also, now that I'm looking at this shot, Matt, you know how all Star Wars movies start. You start in space and then you come down.
Could be.
Could this be the first shot? Like if we're going, Batuu's supposed to be very early in the movie. I could see them coming down, following this A-wing, almost looks like an A-wing, all the way down onto the planet.
I think it's an A-wing too. I mean, we've seen them on leaked set photos. It's been rumored they're going to show up. Obviously, the Resistance was completely out of starships outside the fucking Falcon. Remember that, people. They had nothing.
They blew up everything on the way to
You know what they may have, though, Nick? Thanks to our buddies Kaz, though. They may have the Colossus.
Yeah. They could.
I don't think it'll ever be realized in, obviously, the live-action films, but in the expanded universe, the Resistance, at least at this time, probably has the Falcon and the Colossus. So they very well could be repurposing old Rebel-era ships, weapons, you name it. We've heard rumors they may actually be going back to the Massassi Temple on Yavin, so who knows, but it was a cool shot. We at least get to see one of the planets, so we know we got this desert planet. I don't think it's Tatooine. Nick doesn't think it's Tatooine.
Yep.
Who knows what it is? I mean, it does have a Jeddah look, but Jeddah was essentially torched. It wasn't fully blown up, but I doubt they're going back there. And then the trailer moves into another just a fantastic visual shot of a battle in a forest setting where it looks like the First Order are beating the shit out of some people. Probably not Resistance people. These may be Janna's people. You know, we met Janna today. That's Naomi Aki's character. Obviously, she couldn't reveal anything, but she made it sound like her character will definitely be coming across the likes of Rey, Poe, and Finn on their journey.
Yeah.
And there's a good chance that she's going to be the indigenous people that are on this planet that both the First Order and the Resistance want something on.
Yeah, so this is definitely, you know, her area. I think this forest is definitely where her people are.
She has a bow, too. I believe her weapon is a bow. That makes sense for the forest setting. Interesting thing here, Nick, is... And I heard you guys talking about it when I was in there correcting my Chipotle problem. But you guys, and I agree with you, that the color hue of this scene, it's either like, it's almost like a blaster color red hue or Star Killer base hue, as you guys were talking about. I mean, is that just a creative choice, or is this what the atmosphere may look like on this planet? Yeah. Or is there just smoke and destruction and fog, and this is just... the fog and atmosphere stuff is just picking up the red hues from fires and explosions and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we can clearly see some fires in the foreground here, and then we know that blaster fire is going to be going
full
off
berserker
like crazy.
mode. I like that, Nick.
Dude,
Very
he
good.
was he
looked angry. I mean, the one shot we got of him during the panel, the still, as you said, he looked like he might be in a meditation chamber, which we have heard was rumored. We know how much he loves Grandpa, so yes, he got himself a meditation chamber because he probably thinks it's going to make him even badder. But yeah, I mean, this guy's off the rails. In that image, he looked, I think Ryan said he looked almost like he was drunk. You know, he looked like he had a drinking problem. He just looks bad.
He looks beat up.
Yeah, he looks like he's letting the dark side just ravage him inside.
I mean, because if you think about from his perspective, yeah, you know, the resistance is in shambles after TLJ, but like he just got embarrassed in front of his entire, you know, his entire division, the entire First Order by his uncle. I mean, made him look like a fool.
And we've heard that Hux may try to undermine him.
Yeah.
We've heard the Knights of Ren may be upset with the killing of Snoke, which we're going to start talking about them on some theories based on the last shot we got here. But Kylo looks like his decisions in life and the path he has chosen is really starting to wear on him. I mean, he's looking Sith rough. I mean, like Grandpa did during his term when the eyes were starting to get freaky and the face was starting to get kind of clammy looking, and he just doesn't look like he's in a happy place.
No, yeah, and that's probably just going to bring out the brutality in him even more.
His name, Mr. Happy. That's for sure. So next shot we got here, and this is one, honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, man, look at Kylo. He's busting out some of his old dad's tinkering skills, but then both Nick and Ryan pointed out that those probably aren't Kylo's hands.
Yeah, those are definitely furry hands. Almost look like werewolf hands. If you look real close, it's not like a Wookiee because it's not full just like claws and then you have the hair all the way through.
It's kind of almost like Planet of the Apes type of hand.
Yeah, you can see fingers, but you also see fur that comes almost all the way up the palm. So definitely not Kylo working on it. I wonder who, though, because we haven't really seen a lot of alien species within the First Order. They were just like the Empire. No aliens need to
They're
fly.
they're very Nazi-like.
Yeah.
They don't like anyone that's not a human, essentially. I can't even say humanoid. I mean, you have to be a human, not even just a bipedal. I mean, if you were they wouldn't like a Twi'lek if you were in the First Order, just like the Imperials. So what do you think the deal is, Nick? Why fix the helmet? Why not just, why not get a new one? If you're the Supreme Leader, just get a new one. What do you think his motivation is in fixing it? Is it to remind himself of his failures, just like the Sith like to do? I mean, Vader half the time would just, to keep his strength up, he would remind himself of his hate for Kenobi, his failure with his wife, and just to get himself worked up again. So what's he doing here?
I think it's definitely like a dual type of thing. Like Ryan pointed out, the fatigue that you see on his face now is very evident. So he needs something to hide behind. And I think that reforging this mask...
And he liked the mask. I mean, Snoke's the one that kind of chided him for it and made fun of him for it.
Yeah, and that's when he cracked it. Like, he busted it up when Snoke was like, hiding behind your mask, blah, blah, blah. But then he doesn't need to worry about that anymore. He's cut Snoke in half. Fuck that guy. So he's like, he goes back to it because it's something that was distinctly his, that he designed after his grandfather's. And then also now, as the leader of the First Order, that intimidation factor needs to be there at all times. And with the baby face like he's got, it may not be, the best thing to not have this mask.
I really think it's just a matter of, I like that fucking mask.
Yeah.
Granddaddy got to wear a helmet. I want to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
And that's the type of guy he is. I mean, he is an emotionally stunted character. Because for his entire life, he's had a very strong dark side user fucking with his head. I mean, this guy is, in my opinion, even more tormented than Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker, a lot of his torment was brought on upon himself, his decisions, and really how people treated him. I mean, you don't get it in the prequels, you definitely get it in the Clone Wars series, but the Jedis were assholes to Anakin. I mean, he earned some of it because he was arrogant and cocky, but they just always mistrusted him. And I think that ultimately fucked with his head and made it easy for him to be like, you know what, you're right. The Jedi are the reason everything's fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, Anakin had a much stronger support system around him. I mean, he was in the Jedi Order. Kylo basically had two parents that couldn't deal with him. No. They just shoved him off on his uncle.
And literally a Palpatine-level dark side user infecting his mind from a young age.
And then his uncle... he's been with his uncle for so long.
Ready to kill him.
Yeah, almost kills him. So I mean, this
I do feel bad for poor Ben.
Yeah, rough life.
Poor Ben.
So once we get past the Kylo helmet shot, we have a fantastic, I call it a hero shot of Finn and Poe in the background.
Poe Drake.
Poe, yes.
Poe and Drake, basically, here. I mean, we got a better still of what Oscar's going to look like in this movie. And we've seen it, but now when they showed it the panel neck and it was just him, kind of a portrait, they literally looked at the cover of the Uncharted games and were like, yeah, make Poe look like that.
Exactly, like almost down to the hair.
Dead
like
on.
He's got the neck scarf that fucking Drake has. He's got the bandolier, the pants, even the rolled up sleeves. Like
it's like Ryan said, it's almost as if Oscar was using this costume to audition for a live action Uncharted game.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. I love Poe, love Oscar. I mean, Nick and I, we fawned over him with his work in Star Wars Resistance, and the guy's a Mac Daddy. He was great today. His beard looked fantastic. He's a brother of the bearddom like myself and Nick. So cool shot here. But one thing I didn't even pick up on, and luckily Nick did, Finn's whipping Rey's bow staff.
Yeah.
And I believe, is this not the modified version of the Poe jacket?
Yeah.
Did he cut it into basically like a Han vest for himself?
Yeah, exactly. He's got the sleeves cut off, and then he's rocking it. Yeah, so this is something that Boyega brought up.
Well, no, he's like, I finally get my own costume, my own uniform, because really the first two movies he wore the underdressings of a stormtrooper costume and Poe's jacket.
Yeah.
Second movie, he basically just wore Poe's jacket again and whatever resistance pants were laying around in the hospital.
Brown pants. Now we don't get the full shot of it within the trailer, but we see it. We saw it during the panel.
Yeah.
He's got
it's very Han
pants.
Solo.
Yeah.
It's very Han Solo. I mean, it like I said, it looks like he vested Poe's jacket, or I mean, Poe gave it to him, so it's Finn Poe's jacket. And he's got some sleeves coming out, obviously. But yeah, it looks like he took over the bow staff, because clearly Rey doesn't need it anymore. He's just going to take up space carrying around. I mean, she's got a fucking lightsaber and a blaster. I mean, what else do you need? So.
And now we're also, this shot, we're back on the desert planet again. We can see Poe's kind of standing up on some sort of rock surface, and then Finn's down on the ground. So we're back here. We're kind of starting to see that this is probably towards middle end of this movie. There's going to be a lot of skirmishes stuff that's coming up within the post as well. But clearly, this desert planet has very, very
there's something going on
moments.
here. This is, as Nick said, this is going back to the opening shot of the trailer. So the good guys are here, the bad guys are here. What the hell are they doing? I mean, what went down to have Kylo essentially play chicken with Rey, except he's cheating because he's in a starship and she's just standing there. OP Rey. All right, we get the droids. Nice shot of the new droid here, Dio. I mean, I think he's. What do you think his actual call is? It going to be D-0? You think?
Yeah, I mean Dio. I was thinking it was like maybe it's D10, and then
that might work too.
You
or
could
just
do
Dio,
that.
but it's almost as if BB-8's getting his own sidekick now.
Yeah,
he's kind of becoming the C-3PO to another little droid. It's kind of funny and, dare I say, cute, right? I mean, we like it. I like the droid. I mean, maybe BB even built it himself. You never know.
I mean, BB is way more dexterous than R2 ever was. He could have found some random parts.
It's like I was telling you in Resistance when BB was still on the show, Nick. If you watch some of the background exchanges with Bucket, it was almost like he was taking care of an elderly droid. He would pick his helmet up for him, or he'd put some of his guts that were hanging out for him, or he'd open a door for him. So BB, he's a nice droid like that.
I mean, he's very helpful. Not like R2. R2 is a dick.
Yeah, R2's got a little attitude to him, but I think anyone would if you spent that much time with Goldenrod always yelling at you, hitting you. I mean, C-3PO is a very abusive friend.
Yeah.
He's not a nice guy.
One of the first things we see is 3PO smash him on the head when he's not playing the recording.
You rusty innards. Yeah. Like, he hates him. He's like, you got me. You got us in another fucking situation, you asshole. I mean, that's pretty much C-3PO's bitching the entire time throughout. That's why I love Daniels when he said his title was going to be telling the odds.
I love that. So to say that the publishers who said nobody would get that, fuck you guys. That was a great title.
Even if that's just a story to help sell books and generate interest, it was fun because watching Anthony, just like I was telling Ryan when Warwick was out earlier, like he was warming up the crowd doing his MC. I'm like, dude, Warwick MCing, Anthony MCing, those are the guys you want to see MC anything Star Wars because they're fantastic. And I thought Anthony was great at the panel. Here we go. This is, if you watch my reaction video, I believe this is the first time you can audibly hear me go like, woohoo! Because it's a shot essentially recreating Lando doing exactly that. He's in the pilot seat of the Falcon sitting next to Chewbacca, the co-pilot. So, and the best part of it, Nick, he's literally wearing his garb from Solo. The yellow pimp shirt, pimp scarf, and pimp cape.
Yeah, I mean, he looks, and the thing
fan service, man.
Yeah, this is fan service to the max, but also, we see the Falcon before we get into the cockpit, and Lando still has the juice. He can still fly this ship. I mean, he may be old, he may not have had it for decades now, but he can still fly it. And, we see him do like a barrel roll and then jump right into hyperspace. and Billy D, I mean, this is what we were saying when he was on stage. Like, Billy D in this shot looks like he's still Lando. Yeah. He's still got everything that he had when he was, back in his 30s.
And that's what he said. I mean, he said, Lando's never left. I mean, as he said today. I mean, Lando may be really freaking old and needs a cane, but I just thought this shot was fantastic. If this is the only shot of Lando we get in the movie, I'll be happy. Clearly, that's not going to happen. JJ explained that he's going to be probably giving some big speech in front of a bunch of people. Still, we saw Nick. He was standing in the doorway of the cockpit of the Falcon talking to somebody. But it almost looks like either he's going to be piloting around or him and Chewie may be going off doing something while the others might be looking at the Death Star that we're going to talk about here at the end of the trailer.
Yeah. So clearly, we always assumed that it was going to be Rey and Chewie in the Falcon. Now, not so much. Now we might have Lando taking ownership of the Falcon back and then Rey getting her own ship. Like, what would that be? I mean, that would be...
Rey, you never play Lando and Sabacc.
Yeah.
You should have learned that. You know your history. You don't play cheaters in card games.
Yeah, he's got something up the sleeve, especially in that outfit. So next two shots we have, I have them back to back, and it's back on the desert planet, and it's showing some new vehicle types that we see. So if you look at the first one, right under the explosion, we can see a new speeder type.
It's almost a skiff, man. I think it's very similar to Jabba's skiffs from Return of the Jedi, and clearly this is probably going back to the same scene of the opening sequence, which I believe will be an action set piece.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to start with Rey and Kylo, or if they're the end of it, but... as Nick said, we're getting some sort of chase, and the people involved in the chase are C-3PO,
Finn, and Poe.
Finn and Poe is all we can really see. And people, I'm telling you right now, if we are going to get Rampo in the movie, it's probably going to take place here, because even in this still, this is the most action-oriented I've ever seen C-3PO.
You know what would be perfect? In the shot, in the still that I have in there, both Poe and Finn are like looking back at 3PO. I think there's a gun on the back of that ship, and they're like, "Get on the gun! Get on the gun!"
And he's probably going like, "No!" Like freaking out, like telling him all the odds of what'll happen if he's on the gun.
Oh yeah, like he's got his hand on his head already. He's like, "I can't do that."
I know people have made fun of Rampo, but I think if it's done correctly, even if he's not wearing the bandolier and he's got the bowcaster. But if you just see C-3PO do something heroic and actually save the day, it will be a first-time thing. We talked about, as I believe in the last cast, C-3PO hasn't done shit for anybody but bitch, complain, and tell them the odds, right? I mean, that's all he does. He's there to keep them in check so they don't do anything so everyone can be safe.
Yeah, every other droid's had some sort of heroic moment. You could argue that, him on the intercom talking to Luke while they're about to get smashed in episode 4.
R2-D2 is the one that turned it off.
Yeah, R2 did that. He has never had a legitimate hero moment. This is the time. If he gets on that gun and blows up...
In fact, during that moment, what'd he do? He yelled at R2, like, go faster, you idiot. I don't care about the Death Star plans, you dummy. Like, keep going.
We need to save him. Oh, man.
So this is clearly going to be a big action sequence. It's not the finale. I mean, I believe this is going to be middle act type of stuff, maybe wrapping up the middle act, and then we're going to have another 45 minutes of movie to go, probably.
Yeah.
Now we get into some of maybe an emotional shot here, as Nick kind of writes up in the breakdown. This is Leia holding what looks like probably Han's medal from the Battle of Yavin, maybe even her brothers, who knows. We know it's definitely not Chewbacca's, because those bastards didn't pony up some credits to get him one.
Yeah.
So, she's sitting here thinking about him. These are ways to use Leia and get Leia in scenes, probably using other actors.
Cut footage.
Right? Not even cut footage. I mean, this could just be someone's hands.
Somebody else's hands. So that's what I put in there. I said Leia or Rey, because if you look at the shoulder, it kind of looks like it could be a white garment that like Rey's wearing.
But the hands
are definitely older.
Look a little aged.
Yeah, they're definitely older. And I said in the post that I think it's Han's, because Han would have likely left this behind. And, I still think that if we're going down the road where, Rey ends up being their kid, then that's something she can give her.
At this point, if she is going to be a Skywalker, Rise of Skywalker, whatever you want to say, it has to be with Rey. I mean, with Leia and Han.
Yeah.
I mean, the Luke thing at this point would absolutely make no sense. I mean, we know this guy. No way he was out banging chicks. He was pretty serious about restarting the Jedi Order. It got fucked up, and then he turned off his Force button and went and hid.
Yeah, there was no time for him to find a hookup.
He ain't wanking around with Mara Jade or any of that stuff. I mean, if we are going to get back to, hey, she's got to be a Skywalker to have this much power, which I think is silly, then she is a solo Skywalker.
Exactly.
Plain and simple. So we get a shot here of Rey and Leia hugging. They're on some sort of jungle planet. It could be the planet we saw still of, where you saw Rey, Finn, and Poe. They're in this more... Is it Endor? Who knows? Is it one of these other planets we've seen leaked? But there's an embrace. It looks like an emotional embrace. And Rey is clearly shedding a tear over something. And as Nick points out, I believe he's correct, there's a good chance this may have been shot on green screen, at least the front-facing shots of Carrie Fisher, and then they just dropped in new lighting and the Force background in the back. The other shot we get of this embrace, where we see Daisy's face, this could very well be something called a stand-in. So the more I think about it, yes, there's no way you're ever going to really pay off on the Leia thing like you could have if Carrie was still alive. But there are some tricks they could have used to kind of extend that footage and make it fit more naturally into this new story.
You don't need her face in every shot to have Leia there. You
can find other old short white ladies and do their hair the same way. I mean, trust me. A lot of times when you're watching a dialogue scene and you're seeing the back of one character's head, it's probably not the famous actor.
Yeah, they're probably not going to
They don't have time for that shit to sit there and listen to their co-actor drop their lines. I mean, I'm not kidding. That's how shit happens. I mean, I could be a stand-in. You just say, hey, you go stand in for Mark Hamill. You're kind of short and chubby and have a beard. There you go. And that's what they do. But why is she crying? Would she just tell him?
That's what
it is weird, man. It's hard to really go all in on Rise of Skywalker because it is so freaking obvious.
Yeah, it's a very free take for JJ if he goes that way. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. But we have to consider other options here. Like what could have happened here where you have this embrace that Rey is feeling these emotions. I mean, we're in the middle of a fucking war here. Like, we're not guaranteed that everybody gets out alive. Like,
they already know Luke passed. I mean, they dealt with that loss in TLJ. So really, and Leia said it. She's like, I know Kylo's lost.
Yeah,
I've given up.
But then
Luke even says, like, hey, no one's ever gone. I mean, right? That's when he says it.
No one's ever really gone.
And we get it again in this trailer. He reminds us no one's ever really gone.
And to a surprising effect.
So, the Rise of Skywalker. Does Luke... Does he pull a Jesus, right? Will he rise again?
If he's truly the chosen one, if he really is, like we heard, Obi-Wan say,
if you people want your OP Luke like you wanted in TLJ, then here we go. He's going to come back from the dead and start pulling planets down with the Force. He's gonna essentially Thanos a moon without the fucking Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah, he doesn't need it. He can just fucking wreck it all himself.
All right, now we get down this kind of the holy moly, what the fuck is going on with this movie type of shot. So we get an ensemble shot. We're still not seeing R2, which is weird. I mean, Nick brought this up too, but we get a shot. You got Chewbacca, you got BB, you got Dio, C-3PO, Rey, Poe, Finn, and they're all looking in bewilderment at something. And that something is revealed to us, and I'm glad they did. And they're literally looking at the targeting eye or the laser eye of a Death Star.
I mean,
it looks like it's crashed in some ocean. It looks like they're in a field somewhere. This definitely doesn't look like Endor, at least the Endor we saw.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it was a forest moon of Endor.
Yeah. So
forest
maybe
moon of Endor.
So Endor is not even the moon that we were on a moon of Endor.
Right. So maybe it actually is on Endor.
Yeah. So it could have crashed onto the planet of Endor, and then
they were on Endor.
The forest moon of Endor. Maybe he was just saying that's of Endor.
Yeah. It is Endor, but it was a forest moon.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the planet that the Endor moon that orbits around. Who knows? But again, maybe Endor had a whole other moons in Star Wars are essentially planets because Yavin was a moon too, right?
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about it was like the fourth.
Yeah, let's not let me. I'm like Neil deGrasse Tyson here, like getting all fucking physical on you. Like, hey, actually, E equals MC squared. So you definitely can't have an ocean on a planet that you thought only had big trees on.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, the good.
Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, where's this even come from? You know, I mean, did you even in your wildest dreams think that they would be maybe purposely looking for a wrecked Death Star?
No. That was like a good God moment. I was like, what the hell?
The first time I saw it, I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, it was so far out of your mind that you couldn't even process that it was
I had no clue. I was like, what are we looking at? And then when I read your thing, I said, yeah, he's fucking right. And then Ryan's like, yeah, dude, I knew that was a Death Star. So clearly I'm a fucking moron anymore. I was too excited sitting there screaming like a little girl watching it, I guess. But
I mean, if it was confusing, the thing that gives it away, you see the shot,
it's so clear
you fade
now.
to black,
right.
And then you hear Luke say, no one's ever really gone. The line that he said to Leia in 8.
You get that.
You get the Palpatine
cackle,
laugh.
man. You get the Palpatine fucking cackle.
And that moment was just like
insane.
Yeah, you're almost in shock.
You heard me. My brain, the only thing it could do, I think it just went, bah! It's like, what?
Yeah.
And, we had heard rumors that maybe Kylo or someone was going to see a hologram of Palpatine, or Palpatine was possibly going to play into this, and we're just going, I don't know.
Where is it going to come in?
And I'm still like, whoa. I mean, how are we going to get there? And that's why I'm jacked. That's what I want to know. And that's why now that we got this, Nick and I think we're going to go hog wild from here on out with the speculations, because we finally have some concrete shit to riff on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking we can start branching out into just special topics on why the hell is there a Death Star wreckage in Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah.
Why is Palpatine there? What does it all mean?
Yeah, this has got to be, we're talking about the place to get to the place to get to the other place. This is the last place here, people. Like, there's no chance that your final act does not have this Death Star piece in it somehow. So, I mean, when I saw it, I flipped my lid. When I heard the Palpatine laugh, I almost fainted.
And really, the laugh was great, but what sealed it?
Panel.
They rolled out Ian McDiarmid literally to do a mic drop. He rolled out, stood there, everyone got their little chubbies on and was screaming, and then he said,
"Play it again."
Yeah, in the voice.
Play it again.
Yeah, and just rolled out.
They rolled it again, and that's how for anybody who was there, Matt's brain was still processing it. For anybody who was there, it was like, "What the fuck did I just see?" They rolled him out as confirmation.
Yeah, that's pretty much saying, by the way, we're not just being cute, that we just didn't put that in there. Palpatine's involved in this movie, my friends, and that opens up all sorts of threads that this thing can go in. Nick and I have talked about it. We do believe Kylo is going to redeem himself, and I think we've even said as much, and even if you watch this trailer, and if Rey really is a Skywalker, this, that, and the other thing, this movie could very much end up like Return of the Jedi. where if Palpatine is brought back, I'm speculating it could be the Knights of Ren maybe cooking him up. They're the ones that might have found him because I don't think they like what Kylo's doing. They may still sense the pull in Kylo. The light is still very strong in this guy, I believe. I don't think he snuffed it out in 8 at all. This guy, just the way you look at him, you can tell he's always in a state of conflict.
He's tortured.
It's just like his grandfather, though. I mean, his grandfather, yes, he was physically tortured, but he was also mentally tortured, too, I believe.
And if you think about, if we play this scenario all the way out to where we get to the end of this movie, essentially what was going down at the end of Return of the Jedi when Luke went full dark side here, he was defending his sister. And if we get to the point where Rey and Kylo are siblings, that could be his redemption moment. Palpatine's back in the story. He could have other people working for him.
Look what Vader did. I mean, ultimately, Vader was a willing accomplice. He was sitting there watching his own son get murdered. Yeah. Literally tortured for, up to a minute.
Yeah.
To where Luke's like, Father, please.
Like, literally begging.
Like, dude, what are you doing, man? I could have literally just chopped your fucking head off, but I had enough mental fortitude to realize that I was going down your path. And I snapped right the fuck out of it. Please, dude, did you see me? I did it. You can do it too. I know you can do it. I told you still had good in you. And you know what? Luke was right. And I think that's what it could come down to.
Yeah, it could.
Where, Kylo might get a hard-on for Palpatine. He may hate Palpatine. You don't know about Kylo. I mean, he is a Vader superfan. That's all we know. I mean, but we've always questioned, like, why is he such a superfan of Vader when Vader ultimately lost and became a good guy in the end?
Exactly.
You would think someone would have sat fucking Ben Solo down and said, listen, buddy, yeah, your grandfather was a big meanie, but guess what? He ultimately is the reason we beat the Empire.
The one guy that could pull him to the full dark side, though, was the one guy who pulled his grandfather. If Palpatine's back in this in any significant way, then, like, he's the one who could say, your grandfather failed.
It would show it. Like, I almost want Palpatine to come back and be like, yo, Snoke failed. He's a pussy. Now I'll show you how to do it.
This is how
fuck Snoke. Like, good. I'm glad you killed him. That was a test. What if Palpatine's just been orchestrating this from the get-go?
From the whole...
Like, Palpatine's been the puppet master from day one. He was playing Snoke, Hux, Kylo, Leia, everybody. I mean, he played... We know Palpatine is a master in the long game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he waited decades to pull off his usurping of the Republic, the Republic.
Yeah. And think about Episode 3 in the Opera House when he's talking to Anakin. He was talking about Darth Plagueis couldn't stop himself from dying. I mean, if Palpatine
probably figured that out.
He could figure it out. I mean, he could.
It's all starting to make sense to me now as we talk it out.
Voldemort type of situation where he's got pieces
he put himself
of his,
in his bunkers. Maybe he was storing parts of his Force essence because we know they have a Force essence. That's how they become ghosts.
Yeah.
So this is. Again, Nick and I have fucking written the movie. We've solved all the mysteries. All you got to do is fucking listen to our happy asses sit here and blow hot air. And eventually, I think we stumble upon some legit stuff to think about. Well, buddy, I think that's it in terms of breaking down this fantastic first teaser for The Rise of Skywalker. I do like it. I like the name here, The Rise of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker, people. We've got the title. We got the teaser. Who told you it was coming? It didn't take a genius, but there's still some people out there going like, oh, I don't know. Get the fuck. What do you mean you don't know? You think they're really going to bring in all these stars and the director and Kathy and John and Oscar and Daisy to Chicago to hang out with a bunch of Star Wars nuts? Fun?
Sweaties for an hour and 15 minutes for no reason.
Come on.
Just to walk away.
So, I mean, the panel being there in person, fantastic moment as a Star Wars fan. I was glad I got to watch it with family, friends, and just other good Star Wars fans. So that was awesome. But really, finally getting some insights into this movie, the culmination of the Skywalker saga, 9 films deep. It's supposed to wrap up that tale that started in Episode 1. So you never know. We may still get some Anakin in here. We may get some Vader in here. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they're truly going to wrap up this 9-film saga, you almost have to fold everyone in.
Pull from every trilogy.
And the fact that they've confirmed that Palp's going to be in here, it would not be odd now if Anakin is maybe coming to Kylo like, dude, that guy fucked me over.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing?
It's gonna be the pure angel and
right.
devil. Like,
or
he's
what
gonna
if
have both of
What if
them.
Anakin shows up with Luke, and Anakin Force Ghost are talking to Rey? I mean, think about the potential here of what we could get with this, wrapping it up and putting a bow on 9 films, not just this new trilogy.
Exactly.
As JJ said, he's going to have to wrap this story, and it's going to have to tell a story. It's going to have to wrap the trilogy, but it's also, more importantly, going to have to wrap the 9-film Skywalker saga. So it's got some massive shoes to fill here. I'm hoping that the success of Endgame, which is going to be a 3-hour-plus movie, may give Star Wars and Lucasfilm the feeling that they could potentially release an even longer Star Wars film than 2.5, which I believe TLJ was.
TLJ was like right at maybe 240. It was on the long tail.
I think I would be happy with this being just like Endgame, where we're talking 3 hours, a little over 3 hours.
100%. And in the panel, JJ said that they're still editing, so he's probably doing a very very liberal cut first. He's like, I'm just gonna leave as much in as
most
possible.
movies like this usually end up being about 4 hours long for the first
cut. I mean, just go back to Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. The final cut of that was almost 3:30. Like, that was a long fucking movie.
I will be concerned if the runtime comes out and it's 2:10, 2:15.
If it's less than TLJ,
oh yeah, that's gonna be like, I don't know. I mean, I have all faith in JJ and his crew. I'm not saying I would boycott.
It would.
I would feel like something was gonna get shortchanged, or I'd be like, hey, this is the last Skywalker movie. Give us that a new record. Set a new record for time. I guess
even
is
if
what
it's
I'm saying.
2 minutes, just go long here. Allow the fans to indulge themselves and really take in. This is the last one. I said this to one of my friends because, like, obviously when the trailer dropped, people were going nuts. And I told one of my friends, I was like, look, Star Wars movies from here on out are going to be it's a new world.
Right.
And we've already had confirmation from Bob Iger that we're going to have a little bit of a hiatus before any new Star Wars movies comes out. So, anything after this is going to be like nothing we've seen before. So
Agreed.
This is...
And I'm excited for that stuff too. I know some of you people just want to stick with the safe Skywalker things, but I think Resistance has showed us that you can kind of do stuff without Jedis and without direct Skywalker stuff. Rebels definitely folded more of the Skywalker in the original trilogy into it, but again, they established brand new characters that in the end made most of us cry like, very emotionally in touch gentlemen. So. I'm all about getting brand new Star Wars stuff and characters, but first and foremost, I'm all about seeing how this 9-film series wraps. And based on today's teaser and the panel, I don't think we're going to be disappointed.
Hype train.
I can almost say I know I'm not going to be disappointed. I mean, unless it comes out and it's a prequel, it's going to be very hard to disappoint me in this day and age. So... all right, man, I think that kind of wraps up our breakdown of the teaser for The Rise of Skywalker. Good times as always. We still got more celebration to go. In fact, we're going to be recording our usual Friday show. It's going to be a lot shorter than most of them because we're not really going to talk about a bunch of topics. But we are going to run through our top 5 segment and maybe some other fandom stuff and just kind of talk about what we've been thinking about Celebration so far. So... stay tuned, my friends. We appreciate you. We've been seeing a lot more interaction on IG. We're getting some great comments and feedback on iTunes. So please keep that up. Like stuff on YouTube. I know it's a pain in the ass, but it helps people like us out. It helps us kind of go up in the ranks when people are searching Star Wars content. So subscribe to the cast. Get StarWarsTime.net bookmarked into those browsers. Do what you got to do because the Skywalker is rising. All right, my friends. May the Force be with you always.